Where do you even start with a Liverpool team such as this? It's hard to work out. Every game that I do a review, I want to say something positive about almost every player in the side. And yet, I've got to find some criticisms of this Liverpool team who won in the League Cup. It's not even a massive game, but I wanted to cover it. It's not even like a game which should even matter. And it's a game that last season and even maybe, no, not the season before that, but last season, you could have said that Liverpool would have looked like they were struggling. This was Storm Kieran levels of difficulty in a previous season, and Liverpool could have made a real hard go of it. But actually, the way that Liverpool just shift through gears at the moment, especially against sides at Bournemouth level, no disrespect to Bournemouth, there is just an ease and a comfort and a control. And on top of that, I think a confidence that this Liverpool side are operating with, no matter if they're the nailed-on starters, whether they're the substitutes, who is a nailed-on starter, who is a substitute within this team. These are all things that we can cover within this video. Welcome back to Laurence McKenna channel. It's good to have you guys. They started this game with a side that arguably in previous seasons you would have gone, okay, I kind of get it. Like the front line looks good. The midfield, if last season we started Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, and Endo, a player that didn't even play for the side, but you get my point. I think a lot of people go, how does that work? Where does that work? What's the shape there? And then a back line, including Joe Gomez, that last season, especially at this point, Liverpool were struggling. It's fair to say, yeah. I went to Naples to watch it. It's fair to say people maligned him. Joel Matip, similarly, people were sort of openly wondering, where do we go from here? Joel Consa wasn't even really a consideration at that point in his Liverpool career. Tsimikas, equally, I think, was kind of just a second choice, but we were still feeling him out. And Kelleher, sure, maybe there was a feeling of promise. And in fact, maybe some people feel that's dropped away, but I feel that might even be a little bit unfair, especially on a night where what actually is important is A, the result, but B, if you look at this is one of those graphs where it basically shows you who's got control of the game at any one point. The first half was so comfortable. Liverpool, the blue lines, obviously Bournemouth, the green lines, Liverpool away from home. This was one of 5 games that Liverpool will play in a row away from home. Not nearly to mention the fact they will play some of those at inconvenient times, inconvenient days, etc., etc. Let's talk a little bit about this graph though. First half, it clearly shows how much Liverpool controlled things, but also how the opposition just need to counterattack, how sometimes it's very difficult to even control any portion of the game. So when you do get control, you've got to hit Liverpool hard, and that is where these little blips come up on the graph. But broadly, Liverpool worked their way into the game. Towards the end of the first half, Bournemouth were just awkward. They were puffing a little bit, and to be honest, I think they were struggling to find a breakthrough against Liverpool. Half-time came, you could clearly see they got some instructions, should we say, and the manager sent them back out with an impetus to try to quash whatever it was that Liverpool had on. Start the second half well, then basically this section here, about here, no, I'm going to need a brighter line than that, yeah, about there, basically rain took over. Shame about there, but then Liverpool pretty much crushed the game because, well, look at that. That was when they scored their goal, and then by the end of the game, really, Liverpool didn't even look all that awkward. They basically just went, cool, you have the ball, you control it for a little while, see what happens. That is the level of confidence this Liverpool team have. Still, huge amount of possession, only just edged them on shots, although shots on target, and again, shots on target, but this Liverpool side are just fun. And then I kind of zoomed through all that because I wanted to talk a little bit about this guy. When he first came in, and I keep going back to it when he first came in, but this kind of raw nature of what was going on when everyone was like, he's raw, what's he really bringing? Within a very short space of time, anyone who watched consistent Liverpool games, you could see that there was something more to Darwin Nunez than just, the striker element of him. And I get it. It looked, the touch was baggy at times. The link-up play was spotty. That's not the case anymore. Look at how all over the field he is. Look at how active he is. This is a substitute coming on. Someone who's meant to just kind of like shut the game down, close it out, have a little goal if you want it. In fact, when he missed the ball for his goal in the first place and the ball went over him, Trent, I think that was a ball from him, he then came back inside and just hit the most wonderful shot, which wasn't even like it was like a swinger to the far post. It was actually kind of middle of the middle section of the goal and basically just zipped up and down. It's that striker's confidence. It's the pure confidence of what Liverpool are playing with right now. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that, because if you've got a confident Liverpool side at the moment who are just moving through the gears, and we don't quite know, I mean, maybe the Liverpool team know a little bit more about where that confidence comes from, but we don't quite know what pricks that confidence just yet. We don't know what might undermine that confidence, possibly playing a quality side, possibly playing a side where it's like, okay, can we really match these guys? Because so far, Liverpool just move through the gears and they move away from everyone else. Let's be honest, like this period of the game here, where we put on Darwin Nunez, Alexis McAllister World Cup winner, and Trent Alexander-Arnold for Endo, Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, 3 players who pretty much controlled the game before that. That's an entire midfield rebuild, by the way, brought on with a striker, a right back and a midfielder. Like, that make sense for what Jurgen Klopp is doing right now. If he'd done that last season, I would have accused him of tinkering. And arguably it did undermine them a little bit, because obviously they went and scored that goal initially. I think Liverpool struggled in the rain to rejig things, and for a little while there was a bit of open space that people like Kluivert could get into. They started to win a few more corners, and ultimately it was a bit of a mess at the back post. I think Joe Gomez got caught under the ball. Immediately before that though, here's what I like. The thing I love most about this Liverpool team is this yellow card. This was from a ball across the field that was then a foul, I think, on Costas Tsimikas. And the first thing that Cody Gakpo does is come across the pitch and just foul the guy who fouled him. That's what I want to see from this team. I know it doesn't make much sense. I know it doesn't feel in the spirit of the game, though the tackle didn't really feel in the spirit of the game in the first place. But having someone out on the field who's going to go, you foul our guy, we're going to foul yours. You do something, we're going to hit you back. We're not just going to let you get away with it. You can't just go through us because we're one of the top sides and you're getting frustrated. It doesn't seem fair. He went over there, cleared him out, yellow card. And obviously he's making the point to the ref, well, he cleared him out, why aren't you giving him a card? I think he did get a card. But you get my point. Like, it was fun to see. It was fun to watch. This Liverpool team have got such camaraderie. They've got such a togetherness. And that's brought on by just a couple of touch points in the team who, I mean, everyone's a touch point, but a couple of touch points in the team. And particularly at the moment, I love watching Mo Salah. That is an inside forward, by the way. That is where Mo Salah operates. Why do it in yellow, Laurence, you idiot? Why black? Yeah, that is an inside forward. Normally, you've got him hugging the touchline, and he does spread the play quite a lot. But when you've got someone like Joe Gomez, who is just basically able to sit back here and sort of not really be a Trent, although he does do a lot of overlapping on the Mo Salah side, and I do love it, but he feels much more like a right back than a Trent type. This is after the subs were made, yeah, because Trent's in the midfield. So it's Humberg and McAllister. Yeah, give me that. This is what I was really looking at. Now, I love that Mo Salah's the furthest forward. It means he's always Liverpool's out. He's not great with his back to goal, let's be honest. But what's brilliant about it is he's always an out ball. And actually his out ball is more like here and here. So it's not even like he's like, the out ball that Alisson can find down the field. He is that guy who holds it up for a second, plays it off. And you kind of really played like a 4-4-2 with these two this evening, and then that completely shifted. I'll talk about that in a second. The midfield then had like a box, I kind of looked at this and went, that's a 4-4-2. It wasn't, but there's 4 midfielders in there. There's Endo, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, and Sob. Oh. By the way, didn't have his best game tonight. It didn't also have his worst game. Realistically, though, this looks more like a 4-4-2. You've got your back line connecting there, around. You've got your front 2 connecting there, and you've got a midfield line there. And ultimately, the place that I noticed Harvey Elliott the most was actually when he was coming back in here and playing in, I'm going to thicken that line a little bit for you, this kind of an area. Oh, I like that. Never done that before. Basically, cleaning up after people. Basically, making a bit of a block. Basically, playing as a pair with Wataru Endo. Trying to say his name in the right way. I'm interested in the J League at the moment. If anyone else is interested, drop me a message in the comments below, because I'm trying to work out a way that I could work with the J League. A, I love Japan. B, I just love new leagues. Yeah, anyway, the point is these two had a bit of a partnership going on tonight, and Curtis Jones was the outball who was always here. Sob was another outball who was always up with Salah in this kind of an area. And it gave Liverpool what we were basically pointing out at the start of the season, right? Which was, and what I really enjoyed about that, was the interchangeable nature of it. Now, obviously, Endo is a much more defensively minded player, though he is someone who's taking shots on the edge of the box at times. He is someone who's pushing forward into this kind of an area when he wants to. It's lovely. And it's especially when Liverpool are kind of pushing into these areas here, they can cut the ball back and you either end up with Endo, Harvey Elliott or Szoboszlai, depending on who is covering where. And that's my point. They're all covering each other in these areas, right? Sometimes he's back, sometimes he's back, sometimes he's the outball, sometimes he's the outball. As a four, there are times where, before you would have gone, Fabinho receives the ball here. So Fabinho would always receive the ball here between the two. Hendo would always receive the ball here. Thiago would come back and receive the ball here, turn and get away. That's just not I know there probably are a sequence of passes and you could probably sequence some of what's going on. But broadly, there's so much more interchangeability in this front line that you just kind of go, okay, I can understand why oppositions can't track this Liverpool side, and not being able to track them is a huge part of it, which is why Klopp changed things. Watch. It's not all that different, but the two things that remain the same are these and these, right? You kind of have, but you really have a midfield three at this point. Your two actually remain relatively deep, although that's from the whole game. That then becomes a front three. If not really, it's a front three. And then a midfield three. Liverpool switched from really these identifiable 4-4-2s to the identifiable 4-3-3. I think that works. Yeah. Anyway, my point is less about the shape and more about the assigned roles within that. The reason he's deep, by the way, is because he accepted the ball quite a lot. He was actually out here quite a bit. And also because look how many spread out pieces. Because he had so many light touches and they were all over the field, he gets his average positions here. I kind of love that. Anyway, the point is, right, Klopp's got these units now that he can change on and off. And with that change, with the units that he can bring on, take off, and basically completely just bewilder the opposition, right? This went from 4-4-2. Obviously, there's still a pair there, but then there's still a pairing there, and then there's still a pairing there. Those two, I imagine, they don't have very many passes. These two, I imagine, do have a lot of passes. It's the level that with which Klopp is now changing games, and therefore Pep Lingers, and the adaptability of this Liverpool team. You bring on McAllister, you bring on Trent, you sit them basically in this block here in this midfield. He was on too late to really affect the game all that much. And you give these two a great amount of help. I actually thought Joel Matip had one of his better Liverpool games this season so far tonight. But what you basically do is, this was Liverpool sitting back, and that's with Jota, Nunez, and Mo Salah, by the way. It makes sense. But these are unexpected personnel changes going along with shape changes that Liverpool, as we said, were trying last season but couldn't quite enact. And the leadership within this side has changed. The inner team spine, which used to just be the leaders, or felt much more like the leaders, of Hendo, Virgil, wasn't even really Trent at the time though, was a young leader, have moved on. Obviously, they've all moved on. And now what we have is a series of people who are auditioning to become those next leaders, and you end up with really experienced players like Joe Gomez. But you also end up with Joel Matip being one of the old heads in the side. You end up with the experience of Wataru Endo, who's basically brought in a 30-year-old's experience, and people were maligning that. We needed some experience in this midfield. It's because tonight we started with a midfield which had, Wataru Endo was bringing up the collective age by quite a lot, because the rest of them are all in their early 20s, rather than, Wataru Endo is 30 now. So there is a balance that Klopp is striking within this team. I don't think it's quite built yet. There's an Andre signing to come or something along those lines. But what it does is it completely change. Obviously, actually, if you look at the graph, you can see change things quite a lot, because in the second half, actually, Brighton had a lot more of the ball. Brighton looked a lot more comfortable. And actually, Liverpool kind of allowed them back into the game with the initial shape change. So am I really making a good point? You decide. But my point is, Klopp is now brave enough to try these things. And what's great is, last season, it was sort of like, bringing on Nunez, is that like a roll of the dice? What is it? Now you're bringing on legit danger. You're bringing on someone the opposition look at, and they don't just go, okay, what is this guy bringing? They know that there's going to be something out of the ordinary. He scores goals in key moments. He consolidates games. He literally drew a circle out on the field with his heat maps. So there's so much that you can say for Darwin that you just sort of go, what is it that are you a striker? Where does it even fit? Cody Gakpo wasn't even on the field at that point, although he was for portions of it. And then you got to love Tsimikas on the overlap on the outside. That is not a left-sided centre-back. That's because this defence went over here. Very often you'd have someone drop back into here. Joe Gomez was obviously a lot more. That was your line tonight, and then Joe Gomez. I think what this really shows is the amount of effort that Joe Gomez puts in, and probably what the amount of effort that Tsimikas puts in, but really Joe Gomez, because these two are over here because this area is covered by Joe Gomez, and really they got sucked over by the gravity of what was going on this side, right? But Joe Gomez keeps bombing on, but then also just absolutely jetting back. I really need to find a way to bring in the heat maps like accessibly into this, so I don't have to absolutely just screenshot everything. Anyway, I'm launching the new Liverpool channel very soon. Still 0 videos, 3,000 subscribers, guys. We are building, and we are building strong. I love Liverpool fans. We're great. There's lots more to come. I've got some really innovative videos, hopefully, exciting videos coming soon on the channel. This, my friends, is just part of what I want to build on YouTube. This is part of building an audience. It's part of building a community. So if you've got thoughts on Liverpool, if you have any, I know tonight there were moments where Liverpool looked a bit rocky. I know there were moments where it was like, hey, what are we really trying to do here? It was rainy, it was wet, it was horrible. Liverpool, of course, are going to look rocky if you have this constant, storm basically hitting them in the face. So don't be downhearted by that. I think there is, obviously every side has their weaknesses. City losing games, United losing games, Arsenal losing games. Everyone's going to lose games at some point. But the point is, this side have a bounce back that I just didn't see last season and probably didn't see. I don't even know if I saw it the season before. They didn't really need that bounce back in the same way. I'm really enjoying watching them. It's great to see Kwanzaa just getting these games coming through. It's great to see Joe Gomez building up that confidence. It's great to see that Matip just brings that confidence every time. It's, we see him as a fringe player. I doubt he sees himself that way. He's a professional footballer who's really a senior member of the squad now. And I mean like a senior member of the squad in the sense that the other senior members are actually gone, so he's kind of just automatically by proxy there and probably should have been there from the start anyway. Klopp is just completing side missions with some of these subs at the moment, but you can see what all these competitions mean to him. You can see Liverpool in these kind of what you would call second-tier competitions of the League Cup and the Europa League are really throwing things in. I'm going away in a couple of weeks to watch the Toulouse game. If you're going to be in Toulouse, let me know. If you are a Toulouse fan, you're probably not watching this, but let me know. What's good to do in Toulouse? Can we come meet you guys? What is going on? Let me know. Might make a little video. Anyway, good to chat to you guys. Let me know how everything's going for you. Let me know what you think is good and bad about this team. I really like this away kit. Little Xboxy, little glitchy, maybe a little too glitchy for me, but I love the colours. It reminds me of one of my first kits for Liverpool, even though we actually lost that FA Cup final in that kit. It's Manchester United in there at Cantona. It was a very good goal. But yeah, let me know how you guys are doing. It's been really nice to chat to you. I'll see you again soon. Much love.